Jai Hind everyone, welcome again to the Patriotic IAS. Let's start our IAS PCSwala Delhi current affairs. Under that, we will discuss those areas that are relevant from the UPSC and the state PCS. Now we have a large number of the topic that we are going to cover today because a large number of the topic that has relevance for the UPSC. So let's start with the topic that we are going to cover. The first topic that we will cover the report on the coach sector. Okay, so it will be for the mains and yes, for the prelims, the different industrial and core product that is the part of industrial production. So it will be for the prelims. We will try to know which constitute the largest, which constitute the smallest. Okay, after that we will study that the child accused of the POXO. This is the Prevention of Children Against the Sexual Offence Act, and under that we will see that the now the court is of the view that it should be those who are children and they are doing the POXO type of the offense, they will be trialed and cases will be on the basis of the Juvenile Justice Act and not the our IPC and other such act that is for the adult. Okay. After that we will study that there is the private sector participation into the space and the development of the Vikram first that will be launched. Okay, this is a launch vehicle, so we will study under the mains as well as for the prelims. This the name of this will be you should remember so that you can know that this is by the private player. Okay, then we will study the Charminar. What is the feature of the Charminar? It will be on the perspective of the art and culture, so it will be for the prelims as well as for the mains. Okay. Then we will study that the government extended the AFSPA, Armed Force Special Power Act. So we will study the basics about the Armed Force Special Power Act. So again, for the mains, it is a part of the internal security. And the area that is under the AFSPA, that will be under the prelims. Okay, that will be beneficial for the prelims. Okay. Then we will study India should lead the way of the peace process. Here we see that what is the dynamics between the India, Ukraine and the Russia. So one of the glimpse we will see that will be helpful for the mains if the question comes on the Russia-Ukraine war and India's position. So that will be helpful in that case. Okay. Then we will study that the advisory board have to consider if detention is needed in the eyes of the law. So here this comes this preventive detention that comes under the Article 22 of the Indian Constitution. So we will see that what is the role of the advisory committee. So it will be for the prelims. Okay. Then we will study that household across the world waste 1 billion meal a day. This is the case when the world is facing the hunger and the poverty, and if we are going to waste the meals and the food, so it has the repercussion not only on the food security but also on the environment. So we will study it under the GS paper 2 as well as for the environment. So it will be for the mains perspective. After that we will study that the issue that is being faced in the eradication of the tuberculosis. Okay, so it will be for the GS paper 2 health sector again for the mains. Then we will study the countdown of the pandemic treaty that is going on under the WHO. So again it is for the mains. And the basic knowledge that what is the part of this pandemic, so it will be for the prelims as well. Then we will study that easily provoked on the India's intense internal affairs and the foreign comments. So recently we saw that there is the comment from the US invite to the India on the recent arrest of the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal as well as the different scenario that is going on in India. So there is the comment. So we will see that how it is going to impact the India-US relationship. So it will be for the mains. Then again on the editorial page there is the job outlook bleak. It is under the India's employment report that has been published by the International Labour Organization. So we will see that what is the condition of the employment into the India and how we can tackle the unemployment. So there has been the many questions into the UPSC mains. We will try to solve and write one of the mains questions from the UPSC mains, and we will provide the model answer for the same. So it will be for the mains. Okay. Then we will study the understanding the India's coal import. So we have seen that there has been the shortage of the coal into the different industry, and we will try to see that what is the reason. Okay, so it will be for the mains perspective that comes under the industry that is part of the GS paper 3 economy. Okay. Then we will study that did electoral bond scheme enable the extortion. There is a whole of the interview, and that will be discussed, analyzed that what has been done under the electoral bond scheme. So again, it will be for the mains. In the last, we will study that tech giant facing the EU scrutiny. Okay. So again, it will be for the mains, the competitive market and the digital market, how it is being uncompetitive. So all that we will cover under the today's newspaper one by one and in a very precise manner. Okay, so let's start with the front page, and this talk about the core sector output growth is poured to 6.7%. So here we should know that what consists the core sector, the basics about the core sector. Okay. So we should know that there is the 8 industries that comes under the core sector, like the coal, crude, natural gas, refinery, fertilizer, steel, cement and electricity. And this constitute 40% of the total industrial production in India. Okay, so you should know that who released this index of 8 core sector. So you should know that what is the percentage they constitute. The largest constitute of this is the refinery product that constitute for the 28%. Then electricity comes. So please be careful that who have the largest share. It is the refinery, then electricity, and you should be very careful about the which will be the last. It will be the fertilizer and the cement. Many times they can ask that. Which one is the largest, has the largest share into the index of the 8 core industries. Okay, who will release that? Who compiles and release that? You should be very careful that who release and compile. It is the Office of the Economic Advisor. Okay, so Department of the Promotion and Industry and the Internal Trade, DPIIT, that is comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, so please be very careful, and it is released on the monthly basis. Okay. So it constitute about the 40.27% of the index of the industrial production in India. So this gives a type of the indication that what is the trend of the industrial production that is going in India. So please be very careful. That is all about. There has been the data on the different area that has given. So it has given that there has been the growth into the 3 area, a double-digit growth, coal, natural gas, and the cement. But the fertilizer has seen the decline. So this is the monthly analysis that has been given. So that is not that much relevant. Only you should know the basics about 8 index core industry. Okay. Next important news is the Delhi High Court dismissed the plea to remove the Kejriwal as the CM. So here the Delhi High Court said that there is no legal provision or the constitutional provision that says that just into the being into the trial at the by the being arrested, there is the provision that should gives indication that the chief minister should be resigned or it should be removed. Okay, so here when there was the argument that was given that there could be the chances of the constitutional machinery being failed into the state. So the judge replied that in that case, this should be taken. The decision on this case should be taken by the governor and the president. As we know that under Article 356 that talk about the president rule, and the president rule is in the case when there is the failure of the constitutional machinery into the state, and it gives the power of the governor to recommend the president that there is the chances that that in the state there is the condition situation that the law and order cannot be withhold as per the constitution and the constitutional machinery, and it is not functioning as the constitution. In that case, the president can impose the president rule. Okay, so this is the case here. The judiciary is talking that we will not interfere into the other branch. This is the task, this is the constitutional mandate for the executive branch of the government. Here judiciary cannot do anything. Okay, so this is all about from this news. You should be careful about this. Next news, again, this is on the government should apologize for the youth flawed Agniveer scheme. So opposition is criticizing the Agniveer scheme, that is it was given only for the 4 EOs, and only 25% of those who will be selected under the Agniveer will be retained and other 75 will have no job after the 4 years. Okay, so here the opposition has criticized that this is a compromise with the our security, national security. It was in the context of the defense minister where he accepted that yes, we were ready to bring the any of the change into the provision into the scheme. Okay, so this is all about the, as per the opposition, they are promising that if they will come into the power, they will scrap this Agniveer scheme. Okay. Again, the second news is again, it is just a criminal news that there was the bomb blast into the Bangalore, and what is the current update with the criminal, whether we have find the trace or not. So some trace has been found. So this is all about. Next news that we are going to take is this child accused of the POCSO offense to be tried as per the Juvenile Justice Act. So it is talking as per the judiciary, those children who are under the 18 age, they are below the 18 years of the age, they should not be tried under the POCSO. This is the Prevention of Children Against the Sexual Offense Act. Okay, so this act was legislated into the 2012, and under this whenever there is the sexual crime against the children, this act provides the different provision how should be the trial that should go and what should be the penalties and the punishment. Okay, so here there was the case when the 13-year-old children was accused of the doing the crime against the sexual crime against the other children. So here the argument is that as the age of the children is just 13 years, so prosecuting a child for the offense under the POCSO or the IPC sexual offense was not feasible, as the child could not be attributed with the criminal intent due to their age. So what is the law that should be applied? It should be applied the Juvenile Justice Act that should be applied, and here it is based on the reform into the behavior of the children. Okay, so this you should know as per the now. Okay. Next important news that is of the Sky Route Aerospace successfully test fired the stage 2 of the Vikram first. So most important thing is that this is the participation of the private sector, and this is the first rocket that has been launched by the private sector into the orbital rocket launch. Okay, so you should remember that what is the name of this. This is the Sky Route. The name of the company is the Sky Routes, and what is the name of this stage 2? This is known as the Kalam 250 as well. So it is the first indication that how the private players can participate and contribute into the space technology. So whenever you are going to write your answer into the mains, you should bring this experiment, and you should, for the prelims, you should remember that Vikram 1 launch vehicle, this is related to the Sky Route Aerospace. And this is the name of the private companies that is conducting this launch. Okay, so be very careful with respect to this is the first time, and that's why there could be the question that can be asked on the basis of this fact into the prelims. And the other thing you should know is the solid fuel and the high performance ethylene propylene diene terpolymers that has been used as the fuel. Okay, so please remember all these things that is necessary for the prelims as well as for the mains. Next important news is with respect to this Charminar, this beautiful picture. This is the night time picture, and here it is a brightening, lightening site of the Charminar that is given. So you should know the basics about the Charminar, who has constructed, who is the founder. So it is the Muhammad Qali Qutub Shah. So he was the founder of this Charminar. What is the architecture style? The architecture style is based on the Indo-Islamic architecture style. Okay, so it's include a square base of the 4 grand arches that is visible here. This is the 4 arches, 1, 2, and behind this 2 more. Okay, so this is the arches. The second thing is that there is the mosque, and mosque is on the upper floor. It is not on the ground floor. So here it is the ground floor that is the open, and this is the first floor. Here it is the mosque that is mosque. Okay, so these 2 things you should be very careful, and 4 intricately carved minarets with each with the double balcony and a dome that has been created. So this is the feature of the Charminar. That is important. Why it was made? Because there was a plague, and after that the plague, as the Nawab of the Hyderabad, he wishes that if there will be the end of this deadly plague, he will build up a mosque, and that's why he built up. And beside that, he also wanted to establish a new city, that is the Hyderabad. Okay, so the Hyderabad was also, it was by the Muhammad Qali Qutub Shah. So please remember all these things. Okay. Next important news is with respect to the imposition of the ASPA, and this has been imposed into the Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, some of the district of the Arunachal Pradesh as well as the Nagaland, and this has been imposed into the few of the police stations. So you should know that it has been imposed into the 8 district and the 21 police stations. So you should know that it can be imposed on the level of the police station as well. It is not important to impose into the whole of the state or the whole of the district. So if the question asked into prelims, if there is the statement that the ASPA can be imposed into the only whole of the state and it cannot be imposed into the part, so that will be incorrect. Okay. ASPA gives a lot of drastic power in the hand of the security personnel. They can arrest without the warrant. They can seize and search without warrant. Even they can use the force, and they can use to force to that extent to even the kill a person. Okay, so this is the thing that has been the misused. There is also one more provision, that protection from the prosecution. Protection from the prosecution. Here it means that before the prosecution, before the filing of any case, the government permission is needed. This is the most injusticiable part, and even the Supreme Court had criticized this part. But yes, the Supreme Court has upheld, yes, this is needed for some of the exceptional situation. This is not the case where in the normal situation this ASPA should be used, because there is the many chances that some of the part of the country can face the insurgency or the militancy or some of the terrorism. So in that case, this should be implemented. As of now, this has been the ASPA is now being into the Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur. So be very careful. This is not. This is now that is not imposed into the Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. So many times we confuse that. Yes, all the northeastern states, they are there is the ASPA. So ASPA is not imposed into the Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. Okay. So only one of the Schedule 6, you should know that there is the 4th state into the Schedule 6. Only Assam has been imposed with the ASPA, otherwise the 3 other states, they are not imposed, and except them, other like that is the Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland and Manipur, all 3 has been imposed with the ASPA. So this is all about, there has been the controversy related all with the ASPA. Okay. Next important news is with respect to the India should lead the way on the peace process, Ukraine finance minister. So by this comment, we find that there has been the peace process that is about to be held into the Italy, and India has been invited for the parties. Oh no, it is into the Switzerland. So I am so sorry. So it is into the Switzerland, and it will be into the summer month. So it is expected that if India will be there, there will be the chances that we can bring the Russia on the platform for the negotiation. Now we know that the Ukraine is on the back foot, and Russia is in the aggressive mark, and it is advocating and it is leading, dominating the war. In that case, what is the main intention from the Ukraine, that some negotiation could be reached? And recently we saw that Ukrainian stand with respect to India was not that much positive. It was in a negative, because Ukraine finance minister itself criticized India for the purchasing the oil from the Russia. Okay, so we see that with this, and even in the Indian stand, like in G20 summit that was held under the Indian leadership, we didn't invite the Ukrainian president for the address of the meeting. So this was a bit not so much aligned with each other. Now with this proposal, there is some of the softening stance from the Ukraine that is the visible. Okay. Next important news that we are going to take is the advisory board have to be considered if detention is needed in the eyes of law, Supreme Court. Okay, so this is the decision from the Supreme Court that whenever there is the detention, so you should know the basics about the detention. The detention has been provided into the Article 22 and it is provided as the safeguard against the arrest. So here there is the Article 22 of the Constitution. It's talk about the every person who is arrested and detained is in custody shall be produced before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours. Okay, and if this going to exceed this 24 hours, if going to be into the custody for beyond 24 hours, so there should be the advisory board. Okay, and advisory board should decide that whether it could be extended the period, and if there is the circumstances that detention is validated and justified. Okay, so most important thing that this advisory board should be constituted by those who are qualified by the High Court, the judges of the High Court, or they are qualified to become the judge of the High Court. So this is the main thing, and there should be the regular review on this decision for the every 3 months. If it is going to extend beyond the 3 months, the detention that is going to be beyond 3 months, so there should be the again review by these judges and committees. So this is from this news. Okay, so this was into the context of the one of the accused that was into the custody, and it was on the allegation that he accused of the causing the panic and the fear among the women by the snatching their Mangal Sutra. So the Supreme Court of the view that this should not be considered as the public order. As per the Article 22, the custody and the preventive detention should be in the case of the public order and not in the case of the law and order. And the Supreme Court just differentiated what is the difference between the public order and the law and order. So law and order, this is just a small issue, and public order is a larger and broader issue. Okay, so just if there is if there is a just fear among the women, this should not be the case for the preventive detention. That can be handled by the police itself. Why you need for the preventive detention, that should be in the case of the public order and threat to the public order, and public orders talk about the that should be the impact the broader community or even the entire country, and it is the condition that the public order refers to the smooth functioning of the society as a whole. So a small theft case cannot be taken into the consideration, and that's why this preventive detention, this provision should not be misused because it is against the fundamental rights of the right to life and liberty. Okay. So this was this person was into the accused under the case of the Telangana Prevention of the Dangerous Activities Act 1987. Okay, 86. Okay, so this was the main about this case. Next important news is with respect to the wastage of the food across the world, and it has been found that 1 million meal a day that has been being the wasted. So this is the case, and this result into the not only the food security issue, but it also result into the case of the greenhouse emission, because as much as there is the more wastage, there will be the emission of the more and more greenhouse gases. Okay, so this comes under the food waste index report, and it is released by the UNEP and WRAP. Okay, so you should be very careful about the UNEP and WARP. Okay, so this talks about that if we are going to waste, this is against the Sustainable Development Goal 12, that's talk about we have to halve the food wasted by the 2030, but this 1 million meal that is on a daily basis. Okay, so we found that the most of this wastage is from the household, means from the family, and yes, this is causing, there has been the hunger of the 783 million people under the hunger, and a third of the humanity experience the food insecurity. That is the case. Okay. And mostly this cases is found into the developing countries because they lack the tracking of the food wastage. Okay, so we lack the food waste estimation. Okay, the condition is that only 4 countries of the G20 that has the proper food wastage tracking is monitoring progress. Okay, so this is the case. Okay, so here it has also mentioned that the food waste also significantly implication of the climate change because it's contribute to the 8 to 10% annual global greenhouse gas emission. Okay, economic impact of the food loss and waste is estimated to the 1 trillion globally dollar. This is the case. Okay, so India want to enter into the 5 trillion economy, and we see that $1 trillion that is being wasted, it is due to the into the form of the waste, and mostly this wastage into the urban area, because in the rural area there is the alternative where the food can be used for, they can use for the feeding their animals, their cattle. Also there is the chances that they can develop the home composting. Okay, they can use for the pit as well. So this is the scenario into the rural area, but into the urban area there is the more wastage of the food. Okay. Next important news that we are going to take is with respect to the TB, and we know that the 24th March was the International World TB Day. Okay, so 24th March was the World TB Day. In this context, we celebrated the World TB Day on the 24th of the March, and in that case, we will discuss this. What is the challenge? What are the achievement that India has now with respect to the TB eradication? So we are talking about the eradication of the TB, but it's remain a distant goal as per the systemic challenge persist. Okay, so here the TB, the issue of the TB is considered as the biosocial problem. Why? Because not it is the biological bacteria, but it is the social condition that is causing the persistent into the this TB. And yes, there has been 6 key challenges that has been identified. The first is that there is the delay and there is the lack of access into the diagnosis of the TB, and that's why we able to know the disease after a level, after the reaching a higher level. If we will get it at the very initial stage, there is the chances that we can treat in an easy manner and very early manner. Okay, lack of access to the free quality treatment and the drug. Okay, so we lack the hospital infrastructure, beside that the essential medicines with respect to that. Beside that, the social issue, that is the nutrition, adequate nutrition and the mental health is not supportive. And we also see that there has been the stigma and the gender biasness into the treatment itself, the stigma related to the TB. Okay, so we need a stigma free and a gender responsive care for this. Okay, so this is these are the 6 area where that is challenging. Economic support that is also needed for the poor family, and high quality care that is also lacking. So this is the issue. Okay, so here India's case and India's challenges. Okay, so we see that the Indian scenario, what is the average near about the 190 out of the every 1 lakh of the people, they are impacted by this TB, and near about the 4 lakh of the people, they die on every year. What is the current biomedical strategy that include? This is the BCG vaccine that we administered. After that, we go for the preventive treatment of the TB. Okay, and then now we are following this shorter rifamine based treatment regime. Okay, so, now we are following this shorter rifamycin based treatment regime. This is the current scenario. Okay, first we try to prevent as the very much at the very preventive level. After that we go for the cure, and then now we are following this sorts. Okay, so what is the challenge? Challenge is only into the diagnosis and the access to the treatment. The people are the very poor, they don't have the money. Even if the people have to go for the treatment that is the free of the cost, they think that I will have to leave take the leave from my job, And in India, the people earn on a daily basis and on a daily basis they spend on their day-to-day essential. They don't have the savings and they don't have that much money for the future, and that's why they do not try to take the leave, and they continuously go for the job despite they are going to make a gap into their treatment. This is the main case. Okay. So this is mainly impacting the treatment efficacy and mortality rate, and you can see, you can observe it. Okay. The second thing is the undernutrition. The people don't have the food security, and particularly the nutritional security. And you don't have the nutritional security, this TB medication will be not that much impactful. Okay. So what we can do, we can increase the meals that we provide. Okay, so we can provide the monthly ration and we can double it. Okay, and also we will provide into the case of the severe undernutrition, such as if the body mass index that is lesser than the 16. So here this is the solution. Okay. So you should be careful about all this thing, how we are going to treat. Even one more thing you should know, that the main challenging thing is the multi-drug resistant TB, and again it is due to the lack of the diagnosis. Besides that, it also due to the lack of the counseling and the late referral to our national TB elimination program. Okay, and financial constraint, that is the universal into India. This is the most important hurdle into the eradication of the TB. So please be careful. Besides that, we see that the TB in the children is also other cause of the concern, and we see that the nearly 31% of the global burden is due to this on the TB on the children. Okay, so this is all about from this news article. Next important news that we are going to cover is the countdown to the pandemic treaty. So this pandemic treaty is under the WHO, World Health Organization, and it is continuously going on from the 2021. Okay, so what this aimed, this pandemic treaty that aims to address the failure exposed by the COVID-19 crisis, and this want to strengthen global defense against the future pandemics. So we saw that there was the lack of the response, there was the lack of the coordination across the world, there was the lack of the transfer of the technology, as well as the hurdle due to the intellectual property rights. So all these hurdles, all these issues that is being discussed, and that will be part of this WHO pandemic agreement. Okay, and it is being discussed under the aegis of the intergovernmental negotiation body. Okay, so this is for the World Health Organization, and yes, so this focus on enhancing the pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response with equity as a primary goal. So it's talk about that there should be the proper response, despite if the countries countries do not have that capacity. For example, we saw that the issues of the vaccination into the developing and underdeveloped countries. Okay, so here it's a main area, that is main view focus point is the sixth area. Here it has been discussed. The first is the pathogen surveillance, that we have to enhance the surveillance, so that if in any corner of the world, if some pathogen that emerge and that can create the threat to the other part of the world, so we can restrict to that area. Then we have to work on the healthcare workforce capacity, so that if there is the expansion on the pandemics comes into any of the area of the world, so there should be the capacity of the personnel and those who are working into the health sector, they can tackle the issue. Okay, besides that, the supply chain and the logistics, like the medicine supply or the supply of the different equipments, that can be quick, so that we can take the proper measure in the case of the spread and expansion of the pandemic. The third thing is the technology transfer and also waiver of the intellectual property right. So we see that in the case of any of the pandemic, if there is the intellectual property right on any medicine, and that becomes essential for the cure of that pandemic, in that case there should be the waiver. And technology transfer, because despite the waiver, if there is no technology, no who knows that how can we develop this medicine or the vaccine, what will be the use of the waiver of the this intellectual property right. So just not the intellectual property rights waiver, but also the technology transfer from the developed, and those who have the sufficiency, those country can transfer to the those developing or underdeveloped countries. So this is the main thing, main area of that. We want to bring this treaty on the same footing of the that is the UNFCCC, and by that we want to bring the conference of the party that will implement all the provision of this pandemic agreement. Okay. So developing countries, now it is good for the developing countries because they are going to get a benefit. But the issue, the protest that is coming from the developed world, because intellectual property right and the transfer of the technology, that is the main area that is dominated, that is commanded by the developed world. So this is going to be criticized by the developed world. Okay. So here, regarding the finance and intellectual property matters, they have the concern. Okay. Besides that, there is disagreement on the modality of the conducting this negotiation in the final stretch. Okay, India has represented the South Asian region, and the main concern that India has raised is the importance of the clarity regarding the obligation and the responsibility, because we have seen that under UNFCCC there has been the some of the confusion that how there should be the responsibility of the developed world and the developing world, because many a times the developed world are asking for the equal responsibility from the developing world, and that is not able to be matched. Okay. So what is the most contentious aspect of this agreement that involves? It is the establishing the global system for the sharing pathogens and their genetics, because the many of the developing countries think that the data, if goes to the developed world, they will develop the medicine and the vaccine, but they will not share the benefit out of this data. So they want to insurance that whatever the benefit that comes from the sharing of this sharing of the pathogen and their genetic code, so it should be given to the developed world. So for that, the agreement has brought the prospect of the quid pro quo, that if you will give all this data, you will get the benefit. Okay. So WHO has brought the pathogen access and benefit sharing system. So this is known as the PAPS. Okay. So under this PAPS, the manufacturer have to share at least the 10% of the benefit and their product out of this resource and yes, this data, and 10% at the non-for-profit price. But just whatever the cost of the input has been there, they will share this 10% medicine with the developing countries. Okay. So here it has brought the legal obligation on the benefit sharing. So this can create a common ground. Okay. So here, the main thing is that despite we have seen that there has been the legal binding provision already into the WHO, but during the pandemic COVID-19, we have seen that this was not able to be implemented into the case of the travel restriction or the vaccine hoarding we have seen. So there was the expectation that this vaccine will be transferred and shared across the border, but it was not that the case. Okay, so what should be the next? The next thing is that this agreement should be passed without the dilution of the main provision, because bringing the consensus to passing of this deal or the reaching the conclusion or the climax of this agreement is very difficult, because there has been the two polarity, developed world and the developing countries. So main concern has been a risk of the water down of the agreement due to the many of the provision that is not into the favor of the developed world. Okay, so this is all about. Next important news that we are going to take is the easily provoked. India is not showing confidence about its own democratic record. So here it is talking about that the comment that is coming from the American envoy that in the context of the arrest of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, and in that case we will see that We will see that how the India and the US relation is not as the expected on the line. Okay, so we saw that despite there was protest from the Indian side that please don't interfere into our internal affairs. In that case, there has been again the resistance and the reaction from the US that we know that what is persistent, what is going on into the India, and we expect that we need for a fair and legal process, including the criticism and actions such as the freezing of the account of the Congress party, different account, as well as there has been the okay, there has been the other cases such as the how the Indian government is dealing with the its protests such as the protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act, and also there has been the action against the NGO and the legal actions against the opposition party and the leaders of the opposition party that is going on. Okay. So these are the things that is indicating that the relationship between India and US is not that much as it is expected. So here whenever it comes in the India-US relationship, you should bring all this thing. Okay. Here recently we saw that there was the killing of the one of the Khalistani separatist leader into the US, and US has criticized, even though there was the killing into the Canada, okay, and US reacted very badly, okay, so even the US made the indictment of the alleged assassination plot, and here the Indian official who was accused of the conspirator, okay, so this is the case. Besides that, we have seen that there has been the denial from the US President Joe Biden when we invited to be chief guest of the on the India's Republic Day. So he denied, and after that we brought the president of the US, and he participated in instead of the Quad Summit. Okay. We also saw that there has been a cancellation from the UN officials such as the NSA of the US. Okay. And yes, there has been the vacancy in the post of the Indian ambassador to the Washington. So this has been showing that the thing between India and US is not going well. So what the India has the choices, how India should react. The first is that India can react in a very aggressive manner, continue to pull a public confrontation with the US. Second thing, India can go further ahead, and it can criticize the US as well if such events is the same type of the events that is occurring into the US. The third is that India can refuse to be provoked by any of the such comment. India should respond in a very patient manner. Here the patience should be a virtue of the Indian diplomatic, the characteristic. Okay, so here India should not be provoked, and India should wait, and India should show its leadership. Yes, if it has the free and fair and independent judicial system, so we can give the response, we can give the reply. Okay, so here the India, if want to show a global leadership, so it should not be reacting on everything. There should be the resilience and the willingness to withstand the criticism. Okay, and it should face all this thing with the quiet confidence. So, but the thing is that the way the regime, Indian regime is working, this is not, seems that they are going to wait and they are going for the a patient reply. Okay. Next important news again is with respect to the job outlook that was after the India's employment report that was published by the Institute of Human Development that works under the International Labour Organization. So here we have found that there has been near about 83% of the young into the India, they are unemployed. This is the case, and now this is resulting that India's demographic dividend into the disaster, because most of, if those are the unemployed, so they will be working into the, not for the positive manner, but into the negative manner, because the mental stress and different type of the violent activities that is found into the behavior of the young generation, those who are out of the workforce. Besides that, we have seen that the gradually decrease in this demographic dividend. Okay, so this has been declined from the 27% into the 2021, and now it will be 3% by the 2023. Okay, so 2026, so this will be the case, and the unemployed rate of the educated people, those who are the graduate, that is much more than those who are unemployed. So we will see that those who are the graduate, the unemployment rate is the 29%, and those who have the lesser education and the lower education level, they have the just 3.4, because they are ready to work in anywhere. But if you are getting a degree of the graduate, so you wait for the better job, and better job are not available. There is the lack of opportunity for the better job opportunity. We have seen that the unemployment rate that was nearly that has been doubled into the last 20 years. It was 35% into the 2000. Now it has become the 65%. That is the case. Okay. So this is all about from the this employment scenario, and we have seen that there has been the gender imbalance, because the number of the women's into the labor force participation, that is also decreasing. So you should be very clear about what is the labor force participation rate, what is the unemployment rate, okay, and what are the workforce ratios. So you should be very careful. Here this is the labor force participation rate, means those women that are available for the job. It doesn't mean that all they have the employed, okay. So despite we have seen that India has a growth rate of the 7-8%, but we have seen that the job has not been created. So this is known as the jobless growth. Growth is there, but the job has not been created. And it is only due to the jobless growth because there has been the biased growth. Some section of the society, 1-2%, those who are on the top layer, they are earning, they are growing in a very disproportionate manner as compared to the lower part of the lower level of the society and the population. And that's why they are earning, they are growing in a much higher way as compared to the what is the condition at the lower level. Okay. The other thing is that the majority of the workforce in the India, they are working into the informal sector, and informal sector that that doesn't provide the job security. Job security means whether you have the assurance that you will be provided with the notice period whenever there will be the firing, or you will be provided with the compensation, or you will be provided the pension after when you will be retired from the job. All that thing is absent. And even the job security talks about what will be the medical responsibility of those who has employed you, or where you have employed. So all this thing that has been under the job security, that is not provided into the informal sector. And we have also seen the contractualization of the job, where there has been the contract between the employee and the employer, so that the hiring and firing could be easy. So all these have added the irony into the prospect into the Indian condition of the employment. Okay. We can learn from the US Federal Open Market Committee, and here they have provided for they have promoting the maximum employment along with the stable price. That should be the aim of the RBI as well. Okay. So here what should be the prioritization? The prioritization should be the job where the growth and industrial development, where the intensive labor is demanded. Okay. And we also need to bring the quality education and training, so that we can make our those who are coming into the job market as more skilled, more effective, and more productive. So here UPSC has asked many of the questions on the basis of unemployment, inclusive growth, and yes, jobless growth. One of the questions that was asked into the 2016, that comment on the challenges for the inclusive growth, which include careless and useless manpower in the Indian context. Suggest measure to measure to be taken for the facing these challenges. Okay. So here it is talking about the careless and useless manpower in the Indian context, that is resulting into the challenge of the inclusive growth. So what should be the introduction? You should introduce with the what is meant by the inclusive growth and what is meant by the careless and useless manpower. So it will make the clarity that how you have to further proceed into your answer. And then the question itself talking about the suggest the measure. So you should first bring the challenges, and after that you go for the measure. So this part will come at the second place. After that, the measure should be there. And in the last, you should bring some of the additional point, because in the case of the India, there is the case of the social inequality on the basis of the caste system and the gender basis you should also brought. And in the last, you should conclude with a suggestive note what we need, such as the skilling, collaboration. Okay, all that you have brought into the major, so just summarize into the your conclusion. So this is all about. Next important news is with respect to the avoidable trend at the political rallies. Here it is talking about the risk that is faced by the journalist, and when the political leaders that become against the media, that makes them more insecure and unsafe. This is the one of the case study where there was the reporter who was reporting in one of the a political rally, and in that case it was the rally of the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, and he was talking about the condition of the media, how they are showing how they are projecting the different events. So he was asking that whether the media is projecting or showing the truth. The audience, those who participating in the rally, they says that no, and they were very angry. In that case, those reporters who was inside the public this rallies, they just came out of that rally and they face very much unsafe. So after that, they meet with the Mr. Rahul Gandhi and said that please don't bring all the such comment, otherwise it create the threat to the journalist and the media person, and all the media person are not like the same. You cannot paint all in the one color. So after this conversation with the reporter, the leader, Congress leader, that avoided such comment into the further next rallies. Okay, so here it has given that not this was the case. He has mentioned the other case, such as the one of the rally of the Jagan Mohan Reddy of the Andhra Pradesh, Chief Minister of the Andhra Pradesh. He is from the YSR Congress Party, and the K. Chandrasekhar Rao of the Bharat Rashtra Samiti. They also have made such a comment, and that created a very unsafe for the media. So this is the case study you can use whenever there is the journalistic view. You have to represent journalistic view or the journalism in India, because they are into the news so much, and that's why you can use into your essays. Okay. Next important news that is talking about understanding India's coal import. This is talking about in the India's the coal shortage. It is not due to the insufficiency into the mining or the coal, particularly the coal production, but it is due to the logistic that is getting the delayed. So this is the main reason. Here it has mentioned that one of the case where this lack of the coal into the industries was only 0.55%, but it was due to the logistic that is dealing the transportation, insufficient logistic to transport the coal to the power plant. And here it is given that those power plant, those who are close to the coal mines, they do not face such issue, but those who are away from the coal mines, they face the issue because the transportation take a lot of time. So here the government come up with a idea that there should be the 6% of the weightage that should be the into their stock. So here this is not the mandatory, this is just a advisory, but the many of the power plant thought that this is the mandatory. In that case, this could be the issue. This could result into the capacity of the coal power plant, because many of them do not have such need for the maintaining 6% of the importing coal. Okay, so this is all about that has been discussed into this news. Okay. Next important news that we are going to take is that did the electoral bond scheme enable the extortion? So it is the case that whether this due to this electoral bond, and it has used by the party into the power as the extorting money from the companies. Okay, so here this is from the interview. One is the Subhash Chandra Garg, and he is the former Finance Economic Affairs Secretary, and other is the Anjali Bhardwaj, and she is the Right to Information activist, and she is the founder of the Satark Nagrik Sangathan. So there is the view that yes, in the most of the cases we have seen that the vein there has been the red from the different security agencies and investigating agencies such as the CBI or the ED. After that, there has been the purchase of the electoral bond, and many a times after the submission of the electoral bond, there has been the award for the different context from the government. So this both are talking about that there should be the investigation of all this thing, that how these all took place and how there was the legalization of the corruption and political funding and accounting of the black money into the white money in the form of the electoral funding. So all this has been discussed here. There has been this has been the part of the interview already we have discussed, so we will not go into the detail of that. Next important news is from the text and the context, and this is for the tech giant facing the EU scrutiny. So this is talking about how there has been the misuse of the market platforms such as the big players. They are known as the gatekeepers such as the Apple, Meta, Google, and Amazon. So here we see that due to their dominance, they have their own platform, and a lot of the sellers they present there, they have misused for the benefit of their own product. So we have seen that there has been the violation of the Digital Market Act. This is from the European Union. Okay. So here it's talking about that there should be the equal competition despite you have the platform. It doesn't mean that if the Amazon is the site where we can sell different product, and if Amazon start making some product, so it should be the promoted by the Amazon. So whenever I saw something like if think that there is this platform of the Amazon, and Amazon also start selling its own product, or it has invested in the some of the companies. For example, it has invested into the some of the biscuit companies. So whenever I type the biscuit, so that company of the either the Amazon or the where Amazon has invested, so that will come the first, and after that other companies name product will come. So in that case, other companies and the product of other companies will not have the equal level playing field for the selling their product, and in that case they will dominate. The same is case with the Apple. Apple also give the a preference of its own product, or whenever it's talk about the different default app with like we go and we use different app. So Apple has the preference for its own product, and even it doesn't give the options of the making the change in the default. Okay, so this is the case with the Meta. We have seen that the Meta has provided with the either give your consent or the pay. So here we see that again this is not giving the equal footing, that you have to pay to use your platform, either otherwise you will bring the advertisement as per your choice. So this has been the misuse of this platform, and this goes again this Anti-Competition Act. Okay, so digital platform that is considered as it could make a level playing field for those who are even not as that much the big tech or the big giant. So this news is all about that thing. Okay. Next and last important, it is talking about the measuring internet freedom in India, and it was into the context of the most of the India has been the ranked first globally for the internet shutdown. So a lot of shutdown has been there, and there has been the justification from the government that the condition was that, for example, in the Jammu Kashmir continuously for the month there has been the shutdown in the Manipur, Jammu Kashmir, and many of the area, and we have seen that whenever there has been the protest such as the farmer protest or the CA protest, in that case there was the use of the shutdown. And there was the case, and this is the very famous case, that is the Anuradha Basheen versus Union of India case, and under that the Supreme Court ruled that this shutdown is a violation of the fundamental right of the freedom of expression, and it's indefinite shutdown or the unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court directed the government that whenever you go for the shutdown of this internet, you have to be review in a periodic basis, and it could not be for the longer time. We have seen that into the Jammu and Kashmir there has been the continuous shutdown for the month, and we know that this internet is very crucial, has become very crucial for any of the person for the day-to-day life, because we are dependent for our education onto this internet. We are dependent for the marketing. We are dependent for our to avail any of the government services like the banking services, use the internet. In that case, the government justified that the most of the internet shutdown was into the case of the mobile, not into the case of the laptop. But the counterpoint was that if you are making this shutdown for the mobile, and most of the population that are using the mobile, so it is against the right of the most of the population. You cannot discriminate that if you have the laptop, you will be not discriminated. So this is all about, this is talking that how many of the shutdown, near about the 1,000 of the times the shutdown has been imposed. This is all about, let's take some of the questions from the topic that we have covered. The first question, which of the following had the highest weight in the index of 8 core industries? So it was the refinery, we saw it was the 28%. Question number 2, consider the following statement regarding the index of the 8 core industry. First, it is a part of broader wholesale price index, WPI. It is used to track the performance of Indian manufacturing sector. So if you will go that it is not for the wholesale price index, it is the for the industrial production, and mainly it is the 8 core sector, and it is not talking about the manufacturing sector. So neither one, neither two. D will be the correct answer. Question number 3, the index of the 8 core industry is released by A, Reserve Bank of India, National Statistical Office, NSO, Planning Commission. No, it is the Niti Aayog. This will not be here. Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog and Office of the Economic Advisor, DPIIT. So we know that it is the Office of the Economic Advisor that comes under the Department of the Policy and Industrial Trade. Okay. And it comes under the Ministry of the Commerce and Trade. Okay. Question number 5. Consider following statement about the Charminar. It was built by the Qutub Shahi dynasty. It incorporates the architectural element of the Bahmani Sultanate. It is primarily a commemorative monument built to mark the end of the famine. A, 1 only, B, 1 and 2 only, C, 1, 2 and 3 only, D, 1, 2 and 3. So it was built by the Qutub Shahi dynasty. Okay, this is correct. It incorporates the architectural element of the Bahmani Sultanate. So this is not correct. Okay. So this is not the Bahmani Sultanate, and it is primarily a commemorative monument built to mark the end of the famine. Not it was the famine, but it was the plague. That was the end of the plague. So second and third is not correct. Only one is correct. So A is the correct answer. Question number 6. The Charminar in the Hyderabad is example of which of the architectural style? Mughal architecture, Deccan Sultanate architecture, Dravidian architecture, Indo-Islamic architecture. So already we have studied this is the Indo-Islamic. Okay. Question number 7. Which of the following statement is true about the Charminar? It was built by the primarily as a fort. It sits on the bank of the Godavari. It was a mosque on its upper floor. It was constructed during the modern empire. So you have to talk about the incorrect. Okay, so this is incorrect, this is incorrect. It sits on the bank of the Godavari, no. So it is the Musa river, so C will be the correct answer. This is not Godavari, it is the Musa. Okay, so the correct answer will be C. So this is all about from the today's news. We have covered most of the area that is relevant for the UPSC. Here we will conclude our session. Thank you for joining the session. All the best. Jai Hind.